One roll call. Commissioners Deaver,
Yes.
Chair Hovhannissian,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Wagner,
Present.
Chairperson Kevanian.
Here.
The agenda for the February 18th meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on February 12th, 2010. Item 2, consent items. At 2A, approval of regular commission meeting minutes from January 21st, 2010 at 2 p.m.
I wasn't there, so I won't
Right.
move approval. Okay.
Anyone
I'll
wanting
go.
to move approval?
I motion.
Okay.
But I have the minutes, right?
Sure.
Yes.
A correction on one. For my quote, or in the comments, commission staff comments, number 6, Miss Los Angeles Chinatown pageant, not the LA Chinatown pageant, just Miss.
Is that another competition? With that
I
name?
don't know
Oh,
if there's
okay.
another LA Chinatown one, but there's I know there's a Miss
We
LA
would hate for
Chinatown.
that to happen. Okay. Any other corrections or comments?
That's all I have.
Okay. Any second?
Second.
Okay. So can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioners Deaver,
Yes.
Chair Hovhannissian,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Wagner,
Abstain?
Chairperson Kevanian.
Yes.
At 2B, approval of special commission meeting minutes from January 27th at 7 p.m. and February 1st, 2010 at 5:30 p.m.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Can we do that in two motions, or I will have to abstain on one again? But I was there at the second meeting.
We can. Sorry.
Never. Any try?
Yes, of course. I need a second. Is there a second to approve the special meeting minutes?
A second.
I feel like this is an auction here. Is there another bid? Yeah. Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioners Deaver,
Yes.
Chair Hovhannissian,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes for Monday at 5:30.
and Chairperson Kevanian.
Aye.
Item 3, introductions and presentations. At 3A, presentation of the Glendale Arts website by Elisa Glickman.
I would like to welcome Lisa Glickman of Glendale Arts. She will talk about the website and the presentation. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Chair Kevanian and members of the Commission, I am Elisa Glickman, and I'm the Associate Director for Glendale Arts. First, I'd like to thank all of you for allowing me to come here to speak a little bit on behalf of the organization and also to demo the Glendale Arts website. I think it's been almost a year since our CEO, Barry McComb, came to talk to you about what we're doing at Glendale Arts, our projects and our plans for the future. So I just wanted to give you a little about what we've been doing before I leap right into the website. We're excited to report that it's been a really incredible year for us, both from a programming standpoint as well as the launch of the website that you'll see momentarily. Over the past year, we've presented 3 shows, all at the Alex Theater, one with singer-songwriter Joan Osborne, one with comedian-actor John Cleese, and by far our most successful of the season, which was a co-production with the Downtown Merchants Association, which was the Peking Acrobats. And I know Commissioner Lee and Commissioner Deaver were both at that performance, so thank you for supporting our efforts. We've also partnered with the Americana at Brand to present Merry Tuba Christmas once again, and the Glendale Latino Association to present a show called Salsa for Scholarships, which was a fundraiser for the GLA to raise money to send GUSD students to higher university or college. We're even more excited to announce that recently our board agreed to serve as the fiscal agent, or fiscal sponsor rather, of the newly formed Glendale Renaissance Orchestra. The orchestra has just announced this week that their first pops and light classical performance will include the amazing soprano stylings of Dale Christian from Phantom of the Opera. This performance is scheduled to take place at the Americana on April 29th and is the first of a 4-show season, which includes performances on July 1st, September 30th, 30th, both at the Americana, and a December 8th performance at the Alex Theater. Additionally, we're working with the Character and Ethics Project and the Downtown Merchants to produce the first annual ACE Awards, which are for athletes who have character and ethics. That's going to take place on May 25th at the Alex Theater, and we're once again working with the Glendale Education Foundation to present the GUSD Student Showcase on June 4th at the Alex. So obviously, we're very proud of all of the community relationships and the community partnerships that we've been able to build and grow over the past year. Perhaps our biggest accomplishment, though, over the past year was the launch of our Glendale Arts website, which is located at glendalearts.org. There's a theme forming here. It's a social networking master calendar of events. Local artists, businesses, and nonprofit community groups can all participate for free on the site. So let's take a quick look. And you'll have to excuse me because I'm a Mac person and this is a PC, so if I look lost or lose my way, it's because I really don't know what I'm doing on a PC. As you can see on the homepage, we feature here photographs of different locations throughout the city. All of these photographs were generated by local photographers here in the area, and they highlight a variety of attractions that really represent the beauty of Glendale, its parks, the events that are taking place, and the attractions. Directly beneath that are some featured events that have been listed on the site, as well as images of newly added members to the site who have created individual profiles or blogs, which you can see here. On the right column here, it's a little bit of information about who we are as an organization, but more importantly, how you can create and join the site for free. You can create an artist profile, you can add an event, add a venue, or add an organization. So if you go up here to events, which is what most people are using the site for at the moment, you can click on events and you see a whole laundry list of different categories that people can put their events under. So for the moment, we're going to focus on performing arts, and we're going to click on that. And again, it gives you a large calendar of what's taking place in the community. These are all self-posted, so individual performance groups or organizations or artists themselves can post their own events. If you click on a highlighted event, as you see here, we'll just pick on the Alex Theater for a moment. This is an upcoming show that we have on February 22nd. It gives you an opportunity to see what the show's all about. You can take a look at where the location is. If you click on that, it takes you to a much deeper map and you can get directions to the venue. On the left-hand side and also at the bottom of the page where you see this share, it gives you an opportunity to add your event to Twitter or Facebook or MySpace or any of the other social networking sites that are available. You can also email this to a friend and say, hey, I'm going to this event at the Alex, why don't you join me? And you can download the information to your Google, Yahoo, or iCal calendars. So it really is a wonderful opportunity for users to not only find events, but invite others to go with them. If I were logged on at the moment, it would give me an opportunity to click on a button here that says, I will be attending the show. So when we get to the My GA Profile section, you'll see where there's various different shows that a variety of different people are attending. So that's a little bit about the events. If we jump over to our venues tab, you can quickly add a venue to the site, or you can select a venue from our list. Yes, Albertsons is doing a fundraiser for one of our local community groups, but again, we're going to pick on the Alex Theater. If you click on the venue name, a page will come up with a description of the venue, again, a map of the venue, and then it has a whole list of all of the events that are taking place at that particular venue. And then, again, you click on that particular event, and it takes you to the individual event description. So if you don't have a venue listed in our list of events that we've already identified as places that people are producing things, you can add your own event quickly and then go ahead and select that particular venue when you're adding your own event. If we go over to the Organizations tab, This is a new feature that we added within the last couple of months. And what you can do as an organization or business, it's broken up to a variety of different categories. So whether you're a community-based or neighborhood organization, a performing arts group, a visual arts group or location, an education or learning site, you can list your organization here under organizations. That seems relatively simple. So as you can see, we have a few organizations listed here. You can put in an image and click on the link. And in about 45 minutes, that may come up. There you go. So you can find out how to contact that particular organization, what they do, and it might be something that falls within the parameters of things that you're interested in as you start to get to know your Glendale community a little bit better. Perhaps one of our most popular features, and one of the features we're most proud of, is the My GA section, which we actually call the GA dashboard. So if you look here, it has a list of all of the people who are currently members. You can actually view videos that individual groups or performance or artists upload. You can see newly added activities that have taken place over the last couple of days or weeks. And you can see different articles that have been posted to our blog section. This particular article was posted at the end of January and dealt with planned cuts to the Los Angeles Unified School District's arts programs. Or you can add a group and invite different members of the community to participate in your group. So for right now, we are going to look at the photos section. Individual artists or organizations can actually upload their own photo albums, and we are going to look at, for the purposes of this, the cruise night event. Stephen Coleman, who some of his photographs are featured on our homepage, took a series of images at this past year's cruise night and created his own photo album. So you can see, you can scroll very nicely through the photo album. We have some other artists that have added images or photos of their sculptures, their individual paintings. They've added photos from various performances that they've had throughout the community. So it's really a wonderful resource to show off what you're doing. We talked a little bit about videos, but again, you can directly link your YouTube video onto the site. This was when the Gay Men's Chorus had Jennifer Holliday at the Alex Theater for their Christmas performance. They linked their promo video directly from YouTube onto the site, and they used it as a sales tool to encourage people to come to their shows and events. One of our newest features is actually our blog feature. Oops, wrong one. And we just launched this in December, and up until this point, I was the primary blogger, but this week we added a local artist, actually a woman who lives here in Glendale, who attends a lot of theatrical performances. So she's going to start writing theatrical reviews, letting people know what theatrical events are taking place in the community. And it's really a wonderful opportunity for artists and arts advocates to talk about their work, classes that they're taking or that they plan on attending. They can begin to create a dialogue with other people in the community and other artists to really start to expand their network, to encourage other people to come into the community and utilize the resources that are here for artists and arts advocates. And it's a really wonderful tool for people to really share and cultivate ideas about what's taking place. So just a few other things before I take questions. One of the things that we've just added, and one of the really another exciting feature, is you can actually directly link your Facebook account to the GA profile. So it prevents you from having to create something entirely new, something entirely different, or in my case, trying to remember a new password. All you have to do is follow the instructions, and it's a really quick link. And then at the bottom of your profile photo, it has a little F for Facebook so that people know that they can find you in multiple locations. And then the other piece that we're also really proud of is we sat down and really tried to incorporate as much information about our community as possible, and we organized it into a variety of different categories. This is sort of a brief historical overview of what Glendale is and the history of the community, a breakdown of places where people can dine and go. We know that when people come to the community to participate in arts-related activities, they tend to spend money in other places. So this is a great opportunity for us to say, okay, bring your dollars here. Here are some restaurants that you can go to. We broke down individual business districts and shopping locations as well as hotels. We also featured the Development Services Think Glendale website. So if people are trying to find a rich community environment to build their business or grow their business or even come to town, we're hoping that they'll use this as a tool to find city resources as well as find out what business opportunities are available to us. So that's essentially the Glendale Arts website. Again, it's a free service to the community. We hope that artists and arts consumers will utilize the tool. It's also available for nonprofit and community groups to list their events, and we're really hoping that it'll become, in essence, the master calendar for the community, so that people aren't overscheduling what's happening and taking place, and more importantly, people who want to come here, spend their money and support local businesses and artists, they know where to go and how to do that. Again, I thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to just sort of quickly give you an overview of the site, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have either about the site or about Glendale Arts overall.
Okay. My colleagues have any questions or comments?
Would you just run by the Character and Ethics event is May 25th
May 25th.
and June 4th, right?
June 4th is the GUSD showcase.
Well, I'll make sure to send a note around to our public information. Did the information go to the GUSD yet about linking?
I don't know. We just had our first committee meeting for the ACE Awards the other day, so I'm sure that that's on the docket.
But I'm talking about your site.
They should have all the information, but if not, if you could pass that along to me, I'm happy to connect with the PIs and all of the various city and government agencies.
Great.
Brand Library has been using the site extensively for their exhibitions and recitals, so they're so far my biggest customer, so to speak. Any other questions?
It's very impressive. It's a wonderful job done.
Thank you very much. Well, again, thank you for allowing us the time to present this, and if you have any future questions, feel free to let us know.
I actually have a couple questions. I actually did create a profile, which I thought you probably saw, which is great.
You ran over the mouse.
I know.
Very deeper.
And the couple of thoughts that I just had that I wanted to share was when I first came to the site, because I had done some exploration previously too, and is the clarification, I guess, of who all it's serving. So I came from it from an artist perspective, and then I could tell that there's a lot of sort of tourism draw and a lot of interconnection, and you say like the master calendar, which I think is really great. So I just wanted to mention that from an artist perspective, as you're marketing more towards that and expanding on that, to think about how that is relating to them. I'm sure you are, but I just wanted to mention it because it was a little bit confusing to me when I first went there, to be honest.
Sure.
And also, from the artist perspective, too, for those when you get to sign up as an artist, I know that artists tend to have a ton of different ways of describing what their artwork was, and so if you have like another option in there for other that they can explain what their art is, might be helpful. And I work with a lot of surveys of artists, and so I'm aware of that potentially being an issue. And I was wondering, too, when artists get to put up their artwork, is there any provision or recommendation for them to copyright on any of their work before doing it, or is it just, or to make sure that things are small enough that they can't be reprinted, that type of thing?
We didn't write any of those particular provisions into our privacy statements, although as we started to launch the blog, we realized that there are some other pieces that we needed to incorporate, and the site is still currently in beta form. And we do have a lot of feedback from individual participants who went through the beta testing process with us, and we're about ready to work on a phase 2 of the site, so we're incorporating some of those changes, and some of the things and recommendations that we're going to make to people are copyright issues, size parameters, And we've looked at, again, a lot of other social networking sites to sort of see how they've couched those phrases. YouTube, Facebook, that sort of thing. Because, a primary and key goal is to make sure that the artist's work is protected. And I know that that was a hesitation on many of the artists' parts.
Sure.
Another piece that I forgot to mention is as we start to move into phase 2 of the site's relaunch, is one of the key components is also going to be a community box office. So we're going to be using the Alex Theater's box office resources and allowing other organizations, both performance groups, visual arts groups, as well as nonprofit groups, the ability to sell tickets online, utilize our box office services both at the Alex and our new outlet at the Americana. So it gives folks an opportunity to really expand their network of how and where tickets can be sold, and it's really a low-cost option. So any of you who, like me, carry around a purse full of tickets for all the various fundraising events that you're somewhat involved in, it's a really great way to say, hey, just go here and purchase the ticket and get it done, as opposed to trying to keep track of everything. So we're really excited about that feature as well. And I think you're going to see some things that were a little complicated and tweaky in this particular version get worked out in the next couple of months.
I think it's great, and I do hope that as a commission that we can continue to work together and be helpful as you continue to reach out to individual artists and grow that piece of it, because I think there's a lot of potential there.
Thank you. And I do encourage each of you to take a look at it, and if you have thoughts or suggestions, or if you want to invite your friends to look at it and they have thoughts and suggestions, we're really open, because if people don't use it, then it's not a valuable resource to the community. And that was really the one key thing that came out of all of the community meetings that we presented together, was that somebody wanted someplace, a one-stop shop, where they could show off their work, they could talk about their work, they could talk about arts in the community. But again, if people don't use it, then it's not the valuable resource that we had hoped to create.
Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say, I'm not even sure how long ago it was, probably 2000, that if not before, that I was on one committee or another related to the arts, talking about, we should have that. Who's going to do the calendar? So it's finally happening.
Yay.
Thank you.
And people can self-post, so go to town.
Commissioner Lee, go ahead.
Well, I personally want to thank Glendale Arts, because this, even going through our strategic plan, that was one of the things that a lot of the constituents were looking forward to, having some type of master calendar and a place where all the artists in Glendale can contribute and to be able to be seen and heard, virtually by a click of a mouse. So I really am very happy that this has moved forward into this level.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. And, Commissioner Lee is our liaison to the Glendale Arts Board, so his voice was also a very key component into some of the features that we were able to include in the site. So thank you for giving us such a strong voice on our body as well. Well, again, thank you very much for your time.
I have a
Very much
question.
for-
Yes.
You said that every artist can download their portfolios. Do you have a screening team or selection committee? Anything? How do you screen to make sure that?
We don't do any screening. What the way it works is that you create a profile and you can create your own sort of portfolio. We have an approval process insofar as we have a couple of hour lag time between the time that you post your information to the time that it's approved.
So there is
And
no
really
approval.
we're not looking at content specifically, we just want to make sure that it fits into the core mission of what the site is about. So if anything is rejected, it tends not to be rejected for content purposes, it gets rejected because it doesn't fit into the core mission or the goals of what the site is there to do. But it's not our job to put a value on an artist's work or to say that work is not acceptable to the community. We, again, as a part of our legalese, we take a step back and say we're not responsible for the content that's put on the site. So it's really up to the artists and how they want their work to be viewed when they're presenting their work on the site.
I just wanted to know if there is a approval process, and I think that's great. Thank you, Elisa.
Thank you.
Lisa, thank you very much for coming. Can we have the next item on the agenda, please?
At 3B, Introduction of Sphera Project Arts Center by Armina Lamana and James Martin.
I would like to welcome Armina Lamana. She's the co-director,
Co-artistic director.
co-artistic director of the Sphere of Art Project, and she will talk about their nonprofit organization. Welcome.
Thank you. I'd like to start with a Native American proverb. Tell me and I will forget, show me and I may not remember, involve me and I will understand. So thank you so much for having us here. We really appreciate it. My name is Armina Lamana. I'm the co-artistic director of Sphere Project Art Center, along with Shahan Akobian, and James Martin, our chairman of the board, is also here with us today. So very quickly, Sphera Project, where the name came from, because everybody always asks us that. The word Sphera means hammer in Greek, and the reason we named it the Hammer Project, in a sense, is because we were inspired by a quote by Bertolt Brecht. The quote is that art is not a mirror held up to reality, but a hammer with which to shape it. And that is how we approach arts. So we are a very new company. We were just incorporated and got our non-exempt status from California in October, and we will have our first workshop of classes in April. So we're very, very new. You just have our very first brochures. Our website should be up in about 2 weeks. And we're here to just introduce ourselves, tell you that we're in Glendale and that we're going to get bigger. And we hope that we will be a very helpful unit in Glendale. Why an art center? It comes because I taught 3 years at Temple University in Philadelphia, and one of the shocking things I realized while I was teaching there is that most of my students, and by most I mean 90%, had never seen a play by the time they were graduating with their bachelor's degree. I thought that was preposterous and actually dangerous for our future. So I think that we should do something about that. There are no jobs for artists right now. You know, I got laid off because, 15 of us, part-time adjunct professors, got laid off because there was no money, absolutely no money. So we are creating work for teachers, for arts teachers, not just acting and directing teachers, but art teachers, music teachers. One day, I'm sure we'll open up to dance as well. So it is our mission to make sure that the kids nowadays, and we're catering to 10 to 17. I know the brochures say 11, but we just changed our mind, made it 10. We want to make sure that when the word theater is uttered, that children don't actually think of movie theaters, that they actually have an association to live theater. As far as the importance of arts in society, I'm going to say something. Albert Einstein's famous dictum that imagination is more important than knowledge is particularly resonant when one thinks about the relationship of creativity to the future of higher education and how and why we learn. So it is our mission to take these kids between the ages of 10 and 17 and to turn them into productive citizen artists, to explore the creative process in arts, that's music, art, theater, and dance, hopefully one day, and its fundamental relationship to life, work, and community, and in turn, giving students the tools they require to pursue happiness. Very, very important. So, due to the current economic status and how should I say, I kind of feel like our present political state has kind of absconded with arts programs, and so we are here to change that, as I said before. So our first workshop is scheduled for April 3rd, 4th, 10th, and 11th, and the schedule for the day is as follows. The children come in at 8:30 in the morning. They register at 9 o'clock. The first class starts, and they have four classes that day. That means they're exposed to all the arts simultaneously. We're catering to students who've had no exposure to art. So they come in, they have the physical theater class in the morning, which covers mime, clowning, and they start building characters. Then they move on to an art class where they learn to draw, where they understand what art is, how to express themselves on a piece of paper, on a canvas. They move on to music after that, and Shahan will talk about music in a moment. And after that, they're going to work on writing a script. At the end of the day, they put everything together and they make a presentation for their parents and anybody else who would like to come. and that is our schedule. So we will have on April 3rd, 4th, 10th, and 11th, we will have 25 kids each day. Two of the days will be dedicated for kids from 10 to 13, and the other 2 days will be for kids 14 to 17. I'm going to ask Shahan to say a little bit about music and him.
Hello, I'd like to thank the council for having us today. My name is Shahan Hagobian, and I am a musician. And I'm going to talk to you about why I think music is important for our community. Music is an outlet for kids to sort of learn to express themselves and develop social interactive skills with each other in a non-competitive environment. When I was young, I studied piano and I studied guitar, and I found myself intrigued with playing music and performing music with other kids my age. It was a sort of a way to connect and learn from each other and express ourselves creatively. And I think the importance of teaching music to kids is that it helps them develop lifelong learning skills and expands their potential of understanding of math and science as they get older. In the past, I have worked with kids through the HELP group, which is a social work group, in a therapeutic and rehabilitative way. In a way, I've worked with these kids, taught them to understand music and express themselves through an instrument, as opposed to being out in the streets and getting in trouble and finding themselves in violent situations. What we'd like to do with the Sphera project is not only help young children develop musical skills, but also help needy children that have troubled backgrounds find a way to center themselves and express themselves creatively. I'm not much of a public speaker, I'll tell you that. That's why I picked up an instrument and played music instead of singing. And I wanted to address the importance of having support for the arts. I remember when I was in high school, I was involved in the theater department as well as speech and debate, and we had absolutely no funding from the city. And this is the Los Angeles school district. We had absolutely no funding. We had to do all of our fundraising ourselves through car washes and events and whatnot. And I was astonished that I saw so much money go into sports programs for uniforms and certain things that I felt were not entirely necessary, while no money flowed into the arts programs. So we're trying to change that right now by providing this venue for kids and giving them a chance to be artistic. And that is all I have to say at this point in time. I'd like to invite James Martin.
Thanks, Shahan, and thank you all for having us today. So I'm the chairman of the board for Sphera, and I've known Shahan and Armina over half my life. I've been a resident of Glendale my entire life, and since I was a kid, my mother sent me to various art programs. One of them in particular was the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. There was a classical musical thing there for kids. I remember going. I hated classical music. And my mom sent me, and they'd arranged a bunch of arts and crafts stuff to coincide with the music that we're listening to. They'd teach us a little bit about the music, and I remember one of the, teachers there taught us to just close our eyes and listen. Just listen to the music and hear what kind of music can do into your mind, what kind of images it could draft. And that was a real turning point for me in terms of art. After that, I wanted to pick up the guitar, I wanted to pick up the piano. A lot of things. It opened up art to me, whereas I don't think I would have ever thought of it. And it's good to have a parent to do that, but it's also to have it present in the community, to have it in your face, so to speak. I know not just me, but a lot of my friends have claimed more than once that music has saved their life. I studied theater with Armina, and I know that just reading play after play after play, you're just exposed to the human condition. You just learn so much, and You learn about yourself as well. And it really not only makes you a rounded person, but it makes you a rounded citizen. And that's key. That is so key to advancing culture and advancing the state of humanity. It's definitely a wise investment. As Armina said earlier, they just got their nonprofit, California State, and in October of last year, and I think they're now applying for the federal nonprofit status. It's a big idea, and it's a big goal that they have. I was really thrilled to hear. They actually thought it up, Shahan and Armina, and it tickled me pink. And people like me and other friends of ours have given our full weight and support towards this project, and we are looking towards the city, towards any kind of guidance or help, assistance. If you can allocate a space, perhaps, or if you could, maybe another project has gone down this road, you can offer any kind of assistance in that way. We'd be very, very appreciative. So thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, we're open to it.
Any questions from my colleagues? Commissioner Wagner?
I'm not sure if it's a question or a comment. I would be interested to know the cost per day. So this is a day-by-day program for children, not an ongoing education, but a one day and you perform?
That's correct. It's a one-day commitment from the children. They come in for a whole day and they're there. And the teachers get, as of right now, the salaries we have for the teachers are $200 for the 1 hour and 10 minutes that they teach. There's 25 kids in the class. 5 of the spots in that class are free for kids from low-income families. The other 20, they're paying. And we haven't quite decided what. We're going between 50, 75. We don't know yet. We haven't decided, so we're trying to do that. We had our first fundraiser on January 30th in Glendale at the Brand Cigar Club, and actually Laura Friedman came to our fundraiser, and I'm very thankful that she did. And we raised almost $7,000 that day, which was really exciting, which will cover the teacher salaries for this year's all of this year's workshops, which is really, really exciting. So we got a really great start.
So each teacher teaches 1 hour?
1 hour, 10 minutes.
1 hour, 10 minutes for $200?
Yes.
And the students pay, you're not sure, $50 to $75 for the day, but it's a one. I was involved for a number of years in the Los Angeles Children's Chorus as a low-level theory teacher, but also as a parent. And I've been a chorus teacher in our elementary schools in Glendale. And as a board member, I'm aware of our program. So first of all, I'd want to encourage you to make sure you know what our schools offer before you talk about what isn't offered anymore. And secondly, cities typically don't supply funding for arts in schools. So I encourage you to learn about funding before you sell a program to offer something that, this is certainly something that's different for the city, and I welcome arts endeavors. But the gains for music typically are over a long period of time and are with instruction and a it sounds more like day camp with a performance end as it's designed.
Not exactly, because the idea that stemmed out from me teaching in Philadelphia was that the kids have absolutely no exposure to it. So the idea is that they come into a whole class of every art form that they see, and then they go home and they tell their mom, "Oh, I'm good at music," or "I'm good at this," and then they talk to their parents
that's
about
why I would encourage you. We have, for instance, visual arts programs in our elementary schools funded by our educational foundation called Arts Attack. Our students are do have exposure. Our schools have elementary music. Now, it doesn't cover, it's far from what I would hope, either as an educator or as a musician. But there are programs, so you will not do yourselves a service if you speak about non-existence of publicly funded programs. There are some. So please, for your sakes, get as informed as you can so that you'll do a fair job both to yourselves and the students you serve, but also to the programs that are existing in the community.
Well, yes, of course some programs exist, but they're so minute in number that I don't think
we have 27,000 students in in our school district alone. And those students are not without exposure. I'm not saying there isn't a need. But again, I caution you, don't say no exposure if you don't know what's offered. It doesn't serve you well.
I understand, but if the students themselves say that they've never been exposed, they've never been exposed. So it may have been just in Philadelphia, I understand. However,
Well, you're in Glendale. That's why
Yeah.
I'm not arguing with Philadelphia, but just so you know here.
okay.
And I can give firsthand experience to that of my daughter just going to the Glendale Unified preschool program during the summer. They went to a play. They went to movies. They went to the El Capitan Theater. They've even went to a Sparks game to watch, a sporting event. So right now, and that's at the preschool level. So I do agree with Commissioner Wagner that because I remember growing up, I went to LA Unified, and we had. You're right. There was no. I didn't see a play until probably junior high, and even at that, the only reason I saw that play was I had a friend that gave us tickets. It wasn't through schooling directly. So you're on the right path, but in this city, it's totally different. It's taken my kids in kindergarten now, they have the Arts Attack program. They've already had an art contest at the beginning of the year. Kids are creating artwork and submitting it. They're going through a screening process and winning awards for their art. So, it has changed a lot since before, and especially in Glendale. I can't speak for any other city, but, especially in Glendale.
Yeah, and part of the reason, that's why we're catering to the older age group, because kind of the programs do fade out by the time that they get to that age. So, no, I'm glad to hear that Glendale has improved in the 3 years I was absent. So,
Well, actually, that raises a question for me, though. What is the geographic region of the students that you're reaching out to? Are you talking specifically about Glendale, or are you talking about Los Angeles and neighboring communities?
no,
as
we're
well?
based here, but the kids can come from anywhere.
Okay.
No, we are based here. We will be teaching here. We will be bringing folks here, so they'll come to spend their money here. But the kids can come from Pasadena. They can come from Calabasas. It doesn't matter. So for us,
I think that's a great point for us to hear. Because I think I think we were focused a little bit on Glendale because you're a Glendale organization, and we have folks here that are invested in the school system and in the arts programs, and so that's kind of the audience that you're coming to. So I think continuing to communicate that broadness of the effect that you're trying to have, but that you're based out of Glendale, I think is a slightly different
I think that's why we
perspective.
came. That's why we came. Like when Ripsime called, that's why we came, was because we're just based in Glendale. We are not, limiting ourselves to parents who just live in Glendale. Yeah, not at all.
Mr. Darrow, Vanessa?
Yeah, and backing up to the idea of theater, yes, it's very important. We start to create the idea or the incentive or the desire or the exposure from early on, and we make sure, especially with our programs, especially we start from preschool. I know that that's too young, to the older age. What we did, the experience that Commissioner Lee is talking about, is the interactive play that they have, Theater 360 has, that the kids go and it's all done, acted and directed, and the whole thing is done by kids. And then at the end, kids ask questions. How did you get all the ideas? How did you get your props? How did you get all those different things? So, of course, the more the merrier, the more exposure, the more organizations that can offer, or if it is financially, if it is something that it is more doable for the kids and the families, especially in these dire times. But there are things happening, and we would be glad to have much more. It just later on, I would like to personally talk to see how exactly works with you, because if it is affordable, we might even work with you guys and have you come and do some presentations or have that activities that you have at sites. But budget is a major issue.
What do you think is affordable, as we're debating the how much they should pay. What do you think? Do you guys
That
have any
we need
suggestions?
to sit and talk later on, because that is something that basically depends for how many kids, how many hours. That's a major thing. But the majority of the kids in the city, I believe they belong to Glendale Unified, or I feel that way. So we do have exposures, and we would like to have much more. Just we have to see how that works, and I need to talk to you later on, because we need to sit down. It's not something that I could just put a number. And every year it's different based on the budgets we get. So we can discuss that. But we are rich in that, but we would like to have more.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Hey, Commissioner Lee.
Quick recommendation is LA County Arts. Go through them and see if you can get some funding, and even City of LA Cultural Affairs.
Yes, I actually have already made some contacts there, and I'm pursuing that. Thank you. Absolutely.
Commissioner Wagner.
I don't know what your background is in music training, but if you're new at it, you might, or even if you're not, the Los Angeles Children's Chorus, at least every couple of years, offers workshops in the summer for music educators that are phenomenal and teach a lot about young voices. And I know that very soon, if not this weekend, the local Kodai Association, I don't know if you're familiar with them, is offering another workshop. But, again, I always worry about adults teaching children unless they're trained in children's voices. We too often teach children to sing the way adults do, and their voices are not like adults. So there are resources available in the community. So
Can you give me the name again of
the Los Angeles Children's Chorus, although those programs are in the summer.
Kodai program?
And the Kodai Association of Southern California, KASC.org. If you go on their website, you can see they have a workshop coming probably Saturday in North Hollywood. But it's folk song based, a lot of rhythmic activities, movement.
Yes.
It's fabulously good music. So
It is part of the teacher credentialing thing.
you can get
Kodai.
yeah.
They teach the teachers how to approach, and it's fun. It's really fun.
My only comments would be that I very much commend your work. I actually worked when I was still a student at Colburn. They had a summer program where they would bring in, I can't even remember, it must have been over 100 inner city kids from the LA area, and the entire program was absolutely free to them. And they would have this kind of a program, except the only difference is they wouldn't have it for one day, and that was that. They would have it. Trying to think, it was almost over a month that they would have every day, Monday through Friday, of this kind of curriculum.
There's this kind of exposure, I understand. If
Right.
not, exposure to different forms of the art, so then they can find their own niche into what they need to go.
Our goal eventually would be to have a summer program and a year program, and so we're just taking everything step by step, starting with just the workshops.
But I think it's a very interesting idea. I mean, we'd love to hear back from you after the first couple, just to give us some kind of idea of how they went, and at that point, if there's anything that we can do in terms of brainstorming new ideas, I mean, I'm sure all of us would take pleasure in doing so.
Great.
Again, did you say that your nonprofit is in process, or is it?
No, we have non-exempt from state of California, and we're sending our application in for federal right now.
Okay.
Yes, so we got California October 16th, 2009.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for the enlightenment. And, no, thank you.
Our pleasure. That's our job, to enlighten people.
To get to know.
Moving right along to the next item, please.
Item 4, oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not on this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Commission may question the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. Staff may refer the matter for investigation and report.
I have one card, and it's a very familiar name, Audrina Ajemian. She's actually, by the time she walks up here, I'll tell you a little bit about her. She's actually she was a very good pianist. Well, not was, but is a very good pianist. She went to Lark, actually. And that's how I know Audrina.
Hi.
Audrina.
It's good to see you. Okay. as you introduced me, my name is Audrina Jamian. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Arts Division of Hayam Charity Foundation to both discuss our previous and continuing work as well as our upcoming event. Hayam Charity Foundation was founded in 2001 by Nishana Jamian. Its mission is to foster cultural and spiritual growth, health, sport, art, and educational development, as well as economic and environmental security to the community through its specially designed programs and services. Today, though, I will be focusing on the art programs in particular. The executive director of Hayam Charity Foundation is an artist and designer, Ashad Khudavardian, who organized art exhibits and expositions with Artex and the Harvest Gallery in Glendale, as well as in many other art galleries in Pasadena, Los Angeles, Hollywood, La Crescenta, and Burbank. We started our work with the Glendale Unified School Districts in 2006 in Roosevelt Middle School with our cultural education through performing and visual arts programs in public schools. This time, we would like to expand the scope of our work by organizing a school philharmonic, which includes quarterly concerts of classical music with short lectures about the composer whose pieces are going to be performed and or the instruments that are going to be played in the majority of the schools in Glendale. It would be set up as 4 concerts a year in each school. The main performers will be the Hayam String Quartet, who are highly professional and dedicated musicians that were nominated for the Diamond Award in 2009 and were awarded a certificate of recognition by the city. The first violinist, Tigran Yerkanyan, while residing in Argentina, was the first violinist of the Symphonic Orchestra of Teatro Colón of Buenos Aires, and we are proud that he now represents our city. And on March 7, 2010, we are planning an art exhibit along with a beautiful concert with a remarkable program with the string quartet that I mentioned and guest vocalists Suran Mukherjian and Narina Ojachian. We hope that with your support, Hayam Charity Foundation's aim to enrich our community will be more effective and will in turn yield extraordinary results. Thank you. This is the flyer that we have for the upcoming concert on March 7th. Thank you.
Fantastic. Any questions from my colleagues?
Who worked with you when you were at Roosevelt? Who was the musician? Because I remember setting up
it wasn't music at the time. We want to continue it with music, but before it was only art, and it was Lilit Harutunian.
Okay,
but it was just art.
I can't remember the name of someone who came through the commission to me, and we ended up. She did she did a master class in music at Roosevelt and then she did some work the next year, and I can't think of her name.
We're working on the music, but it was just it was art at first.
So have you connected with the district?
We have approval, from the district.
Okay, so you're already in.
Yeah, just to spread awareness and expose it. So.
Do you have a card or?
Would you like the poster?
Sure, I'll take it to where it can.
We
get
never
somewhere.
get posters, and today we have like 2. I think I'm gonna.
Lucky you.
I think I'm gonna frame this one. This one with a tiger on it and everything.
Oh, you already have that. Oh, okay.
So tell me again what your plan is right now with the district, with the school district.
That one is under construction right now.
Oh, okay.
We don't have information on that yet, but it's going to be like concerts organized at each school. We have funds ourselves that we raise, so it's not like we're asking for it, but if it's necessary, I think it's going to be tickets with $10 each. It's going to be voluntary based on the children, and then we'll have more information about that. But the reason we came here for today was the concert that's going to be on March 7th, and that's it. Yeah, and you guys are all invited. Just let us know. Free of charge.
Anyone else?
I wanted to remind everybody that Hayam was also played at our MIM
That's right.
last year. Mm-hmm. And they were phenomenal. Everybody enjoyed them very much. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Audrina. Next item, please. Wow.
Item 5, Business Agenda, 5A Action Items at 5A1, Review of Downtown Specific Plan, DSP Art Requirement located at 300 North Central by Mark Berry, Senior Redevelopment Project Manager, and Commission Discussion and Recommendations.
Members of the Commission, good afternoon. My name is Mark Berry, Senior Project Manager with Redevelopment and Housing. We are here this afternoon to present the urban art program for legendary Tower Glendale project, which is located at 300 North Central Avenue. This is the northeast corner of Central and California. It's a large vacant lot. It was developed with a gas station most recently in an apartment building, so you may be familiar with it.
Is this the same location as the earlier project we reviewed, or is that a block south?
No, this is
That's on.
different. Yeah.
That's
This
the
is a block
200.
north. Yeah.
That's the 200 block. This okay.
Yeah, this is a block north. The project is a mixed-use podium-type design with 8 ground floor live-work units and 72 condominium units located on the upper levels of the project. The project also has a small cafe space on the corner of California and Central. Actually, we have a rendering. It's behind that glass area on the corner on the bottom level. As you're aware, the downtown specific plan requires that new developments with a value over $500,000 need to incorporate a public urban art component. This project well exceeds the $500,000 threshold. As a result, subject to the art requirement. Based on the policies of the DSP, staff believes there are 2 broad principles that can serve as a framework for the Commission's evaluation of the art proposal. The first one is the art program should be located in the way that enhances the aesthetics of the downtown public areas, the areas from the sidewalks and public plazas and courtyards, areas like that. And 2, the public art should be integrated into the project's architecture and its overall site design. The Commission's role is to provide a recommendation to the City Council, and we are today to request your recommendation. The Council is scheduled to consider the project's final approvals, the art component, and the Commission's recommendation in mid-March. It's tentatively scheduled for March 16th. With that brief introduction, I would like to turn the presentation over to the project applicant, Surgeon Stoney, to give you further details of the art program.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Serge Stoney. I'm the managing member of Legendary Tower Glendale. I'd like to take a moment just to share with you our vision for what this project is and what this project can be. We came to the lot, and as has been described, it's the northeast corner of California and Central. It was somewhat blighted. There was a vacant, abandoned gas station property. There was a vacant boarding house. The property had been cited numerous times. Ultimately, the prior owners were forced to demolish the boarding house because it was a risk, an attractive nuisance, so to speak. As we got in the process of acquiring this property and beginning to think about what to do with this, our views turned to not just the property itself, but the community within it, within which it sits, because that's important at the end of the day. And what we saw and still see on Glendale, on Central and at the corner of California, is an underdevelopment and an inappropriate focus in our view. And perhaps it's our mistake in believing that, but we see potential here. We see Central as likely to grow into a vibrant, rich, residential mixed-use community that's going to have the wealth of citizens that currently live just a little west of Central, migrating into a more urban setting and taking advantage of all that's available in walking distance. With that in mind, we designed a project that was intended to be, and is hopefully going to become, a living space for families. The units there are 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. And what we wanted, and some of these units are specifically designed to be useful, functional, attractive to seniors, active seniors, that would want to move downsize from homes, move into a space that they can actually live in, find all their needs nearby, be able to walk around in the community. And so we wanted a project that was going to be alive 24/7, that was going to be able to have activity during the day as well as, rather than just have people fly out in the morning and come back at 6 in the evening. And that's not what we want to have. What we want to have is a living space that's going to be warm and that's going to hopefully create levels of activity and traffic and interest that will then encourage other properties along Central to also grow in the same direction. Imagine Central Avenue with a series of multi-family homes and residential complexes and live work with good, vibrant commercial spaces down below. And with that in mind, we incorporated, if I might, incorporated a ribbon across the bottom of this building of live work spaces. The ground floors are commercial, the living spaces above them. And our notion was that rather than try to attract a single large commercial tenant in this space that is going to have destination travel, we would like to see a community of commercial merchants that we've seen function so well in Glendale. Family-owned businesses where they have regular, reliable, loyal customers and that have relationships with those merchants. And if we can populate those live work spaces appropriately, we think that the residents above will benefit. They will have close by maybe the doctor at the ground floor. They may have the travel agency nearby. We have programmed into the corner space here a cafe. So if you're living there, you can go down and have a coffee, have a sandwich, spend some time there. As part of our project design, we are required to have some public space dedicated. And we've got 1,327 square feet located here in the corner, right at Central and California. And what you cannot see clearly through this drawing, but I think maybe a little bit more visible, this one, daylight perspective, is these glass columns have openings. And this space provides a covered, sheltered, interesting place that people can go. And they can spend some time there. There'll be seating, permanent seating available, perhaps tables, perhaps game tables, perhaps more lounge-type affair. But this created a tremendous opportunity for us. In thinking about our art program, what we decided was that if the public is going to be invited into that space, let's give them a good reason to come. And in that light, we reached out and tried to find an artist and an art concept that would enliven the space, that would create a reason for the public to come, not just once to see a static piece of art that is going to never change, but one that was going to always engage the visitor in a new and a different way. And what we decided to do was to use a light and sound art piece, sculpture, that every time you engage in it is going to provide a different experience. We were very fortunate in our search to locate a fabulous, internationally renowned artist who has had fabulous works throughout the United States and I think throughout the world. And many of you, if any of you, have been through Chicago O'Hare's airport, United Airlines, and the concourse down below that connects the different sections. You've seen that light sculpture that keeps changing and moving and traveling. That was done by Michael Hayden in 1987. A long time ago. And he has continued his work with light and sound, and he has a fabulous notion that we would like to implement logistically. I'd like to take a moment to introduce you first to our architect, Mark Bailly. If you have any questions for him, we're happy to put him up, and he can explain further his artistic and architectural notions for this space. And then I can share with you some of Michael Hayden's prior works and describe to you the work that's going to be in this space. Would you like to hear from Mr. Bailly?
Sure.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mark Vagay. I'm the architect for the project. Mr. Soni pretty much explained the project very well. I just wanted to talk about the nature of the public space that we've created in this corner in the project, southwest corner of the building. It's a space that's about 24 feet in height and about 1,350 square feet in area. And it's surrounded by these panels of transparent glass. So basically, it's a sun-filled outdoor room, and just to the north of it, in this area here, there will be a single-story cafe that opens up into this space. The demarcation line between the cafe and the public space will be a glass, retractable window. We call it a nano wall. So basically, during the day when the cafe is open, those doors will be all open, and it will be an indoor-outdoor space between the cafe and the public space. And we thought about many different possibilities for the public art for the building, including dressing the building facade itself with art. But we very soon decided that that wasn't appropriate for a residential building. We wanted to keep the residential building a private building, but keep the public art contained within this outdoor room or the public space. So people could enter the public space, use the cafe, and then interact with the light and sound of the art that Michael Hayden created. We're very excited about it. We think it's a beautiful piece that he's created. Of course, all the details still need to be worked out. There are a couple of renderings that we have here that show the art in a static format. But I think Michael can explain it better himself in detail as to what he's planning. Thank you very much. If you have any questions regarding the architecture, I would be more than happy to answer the questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. One of the challenges that we had with an architectural project of this scale was its size and how to make it an attractive feature of the community. And what Mark Varghese and his team came up with was the creation of what is clearly a large lumbering building, but making it feel light by creating this window, this entire base of glass, so that especially in the evening when the lights are on, this building looks like it's hovering above ground. And that was, in part, the inspiration of using art that also uses light, and to make that light work for us. Now, I'm going to show you the art in a moment, but I'd like to show you, if I can, some prior works by Michael Hayden, so you get a sense of the things that he has done. Can we place that into... No, it's right here. Oh, was it up there?
Look so different. Sure, I don't get it.
Mr. Soni,
yes.
Just if we can keep the viewing of Mr. Hayden's previous artworks kind of brief,
Absolutely.
I would appreciate that because we're kind of in a time constraint right now.
No problem.
So.
On the view? Did I miss it? We'll do this quickly. Page layout? Fit, page, There you go. Got it, okay. This is the Sky's the Limit project that I mentioned to you that's in the Chicago O'Hare. This is the Porte Cochere Luminaire project located in Calgary. Lumetric film creates a different impression depending on the location of the light, the sun, Could you join me?
Yeah.
We'll keep this
I know
brief.
the topic. The thing about the piece in Charlotte is it had a daytime persona with diffraction grating and a nighttime persona with neon. So that's the daytime view of the same piece. So I am interested in doing things that have character and presence all 24 hours of the day. And of course, something that relies on sunlight, like this piece, that's an installation shot of a piece I did in Cleveland, just outside of Cleveland. It's called the Triscuit train station. That's the finished product there. So it uses the diffraction of sunlight to cause rainbows to be cast into the interior of that transfer bridge. This is in Nashville. It's at the airport. It's a fiber, the part that you can see the coloration in is a window film that's been applied to the pre-existing glass. It diffracts the sunlight in the daytime, and those helixing shapes are filled with LEDs. It was the first LED piece I did, and you can see it from below. That's fiber optic. I've been teased that the M in the middle is for Michael. It's hard to make an H with fiber optic, so there's no. But that piece, that's during it, so that the piece changes with the approach of people. You can see a rainbow right across it, but as there's sensors in the pathway, you can see that the path is illuminated with the same colors that change through the piece itself. This is a liquid piece. I have a number of these. I've got 9 patents, and this is one of them where I can take a hologram. There's 2 things the holograms don't want to see: is sunlight, that's the UV, and water. So I put these diffraction gratings that I've designed underwater in sunlight, and that's the surface of the water you're looking at. I can, and here's a young lady trying to find out where the color's coming from. So the piece changes chromatically all day long. This is at the Charles M. Schultz Museum. That's me walking across a bridge at a piece I did for the Radio Shack Corporation. This is the main administrative building, and it's a piece that you can see from outside. Again, nighttime persona, daytime persona. This is a piece in Culver City. It's for the Sony Corporation. This is their entertainment division, and that's in Glasgow. On the wall, you can see the diffraction grating. This is a piece in Kalamazoo that is a piece that is hand-made glass with diffraction grating embedded in it, and that's all that color comes from the little HID lamps that are in the porte cochere. That's an entrance to a sculpture park that's in Glasgow. Again, that's the entrance to the sculpture park. It's called Threshold, and so it's the different patterns, holographic patterns that I created for my Spectralite product. Is that about it?
No, I think we got 4 more.
Oh yeah, there's another fiber optic piece. I've got videotape of me meeting the Queen as she walked through that piece, so I had a lot of fun with it. I mean,
did you bow? What do you bow when you're in tunnel with the Queen?
I bowed, my wife curtsied. And we were both told not to extend a hand unless she extended hers. And the director of the museum introduced my wife first of all, and so that she'd be introduced. Anyway, we had fun. That was that last piece, the suspended piece, is in a food court in Sacramento. I just finished a piece that isn't in the slideshow in Sacramento. That's on. There it is. Oh, I didn't know.
At the airport?
No, this is at a building, 621 Capitol Mall. It's called the U.S. Bank Tower Building, and that's a piece with 200 low-resolution video screens. The back of each one of them is a holographic mirror. So in the daytime, the sunlight bounces off the mirror, makes rainbows in the interior, and at nighttime, which is what you're doing a test program there, and it runs. It's called The Rapids, and it's a video program that I shot. This is looking from outside the building. This is what you see from the street, 621 Capitol Mall.
Okay.
That's 4 blocks from the Capitol buildings. And there on the top of that building, this is where I was commissioned to do the piece in the lobby, and then I did a piece on the roof and it's called The Metric River, and it's become there's a live feed of that piece that introduces the evening news of the 3 television programs. There's one of them that uses this to introduce the evening news every night, whatever the piece is doing. So it's been well received by the populace in Sacramento.
You did that really well. Way better than I could have.
Yeah, well,
And time.
And time. Let me tell you how excited we were that we were able to get Michael to look at this great project that we were going to do in Glendale. And he actually came down. We spent a whole bunch of time with our architectural team, with our ownership, with Michael, evaluating different styles of art and how to place it and where to place it and how to engage the public and how best to create this wonderful environment that you can actually go and sit in a public space, have access to a restaurant nearby, maybe even take your food out there if you feel like it, and experience the art and want to go back again because it's different all the time and it's controllable. And what Michael came up with for this space, and we've got two renderings here, 66 light sticks, 3 foot long each, addressable in 6-inch segments. Every 6 inches can be separately addressed and programmed to do what we want it to do. Dim and change color, any color.
2,500 different colors.
2,500 different colors. The opportunity is phenomenal. They're placed suspended from the ceiling in a regular pattern, but at irregular heights. So you could create a wave motion in one direction and bring it back in an opposite direction. You can do it any color you like. You can make this pulse so it seems like it's breathing. Actually, we were talking and toying with that notion. You can
Well, breathing, pulsing until someone walked into the space and then have the piece follow their route through it or respond to their presence in some way. I mean, I've done pieces that have capacitive interface, video interface, touch plate, micro switch. I mean, the thing is that I want to work with the architect, and we have to develop all the things that can happen. Then we find out what should happen, find out what, and then we will end up with what will happen. So there, I like the aspect of many opportunities, and you get rid of the redundant ones, and you choose only the one. I mean, the piece is this wave that's going to go through the space. How we address it, how it interfaces with the people. I'm interested in it becoming attractive to the vehicular traffic that can see it from outside and from the streetscape, and also people walking on the opposite side.
We've got a traffic problem in Glendale.
You know, it's interesting. Every time I do a presentation, one of the things that people ask me is, won't traffic be congested? Won't people? Oh, that my work was so potent it would cause people to forget that they were. The piece in, that has not happened. In Culver City, it's right at a street corner, and the piece does not cause people to forget that they're in automobiles driving. But it does cause people to park their car and come back and look at it.
The space is about 23 feet wide and nearly 60 feet deep. The back of the space is a 22-foot high ceiling height. So you've got this nice, large, soaring space. And the plan is to also incorporate some sort of reflective surface on that back wall so that the sculpture can also play on that wall and perhaps on the ceiling. The opportunities are tremendous. We can introduce sound in a calming way, in a useful way that plays with the light. We can have the light sculpture listen to its environs. As Michael was saying, it can just basically kind of hover and pulse for a little while, and if you walk in, it can greet you with a trickle of light. And as you move, it can react to you. As you speak and engage with people, it can make it a more lively environment. We think this is a wonderful solution for our art and for our purpose of creating a useful public space. We think that this is going to be enjoyable for our residents, it's going to be enjoyable for the community, and we look for your approval. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer. Michael, of course, is here.
Yes, Commissioner Wagner.
Again, a comment. It's very intriguing and exciting. And next time I go to Sacramento, I have to make sure I look at that. But I just would encourage you. It reminds me a lot, at a glance, of the interior of the Methodist Church, which has similar, not light sticks, but similar light fixtures hung from the choir loft. At the different levels, and you get the lighting effect from the stained glass windows. So. where are we? Right down the street. If Sanctuary's open, you just might
thing-
enjoy seeing at first glance anyway, a similar.
The decision was made by the architectural team to show all the sticks on. Every LED in every one of them is on. If we ran a video, or if you go and see any of my pieces, never are all the pieces on all the time. And in fact, that is the part that makes it exciting, is that there's all this potential sitting there, but you can have a single LED run through the thing, or a cluster of 6 of them, and they can change color each time, or you can have a whole swath come through in red and come back in green, and as Serge said, it can come in one aspect from north to south, and then it can go east to west. The fact is that it's going to be constantly changing, so the parade of these hanging from there will not be what you're struck with. What you're going to be struck with is the waveforms that pass through them and surge back and forth. Yes.
I have to add, I'm sorry, please.
Oh, well, I just wanted to ask, you do, I would assume, you would do the initial programming. Then are you on the hook to alter that if
Well, the programming would be the function of it'll be an intelligent interface, and so that what happens will be a function of how many people are in the room, where they've entered from.
But if the computer breaks, then it's not our issue. I'm just curious.
I mean, the reason I was hired by Radio Shack is because I talk the talk, and I you know what? I surround myself with people who make me look good. I have an engineering background with all the people that work with LEDs, and then the installation community that I work with, the riggers and that. So I say in the videos, you can tell the artist he's the one with the hands in his pocket. So the pieces are done with experts within each, and I've worked with 3 different LED companies, and.
But let me add that, and Michael has told us that the light sticks have firmware. They have programmable sticks within them. The entire system is addressable by a laptop. Anybody can come in. There will be a series of algorithms that will already have been pre-programmed and available. Then it's simply a question of whether we're putting them on random or we're putting them in some selected playlist, just like you do with your iPod. You can do just about anything you want with it. Our real challenge in communicating this art, however, is that this is static and the art's not. And we couldn't find a way to be able to present to you what is possible and what this is really going to feel like. And I have to apologize that our renderer, in trying to work with this and communicate that each of these sticks are separately addressable, turned this into a very bad Christmas display. And it was not
upside down popsicles, the rainbow popsicles, because these cables that they won't be that visible at all. I mean, I would be horrified. I had big hunking cables coming down but I mean, the thing is that this is to explain a concept. This is not the finished piece, and the finished piece. If you've seen the piece in Chicago, know that piece never has nor ever will repeat itself.
Could I say something? I believe the concept is there, and we got it. And what Commissioner Wagner was saying, that it inspired and reminded her of the Methodist Church, which by the movement of the sun or the light, it does through the stained glasses that they have, creates that. So this inspired her or reminded her and myself as well that that's the thing that you're doing, but you're doing with technology that was done with the...
When I presented to Sacramento, I was asked by 2 people that I know of other pieces in the city that were reference to rivers. Because I said I wanted to do the rapids and I wanted to do a Lumetric river. And of course, Sacramento is the convergence of the American and Sacramento River. So that's why I shot videotape of rivers and that. Don't tell the people in Sacramento that what they're looking at is videotape I shot all over this continent, where waterfalls are and where rapids are, and the Adirondacks, and but the metaphor was there, and so.
Mr. Hayden, sorry to cut you off, but we're cutting it very close. Commissioner Deaver, do you have a question or a comment?
I do. I have some technical questions in terms of the program. One. is this based on total construction costs or total development costs? Is it the amount of the program?
I think Ms. Berry can best tell you.
As I look back to Alan Loomis, I believe its building value is determined by the plan checker who reviews the project.
Right.
Okay, but it's construction costs, not development costs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The other question I have with regard to the program that we're kind of approving, will this come back to this commission when this is further fleshed out, or are we approving something based on purely concept? Because, I'll say, I love the idea of the interactivity. I get it, but there's a lot of questions about there could be music involved in it. It could flow this way, it could flow that way, and so I'm concerned that we say, you've got a great history, you've got a great work, it seems like a great concept, move forward, and just throwing that out there and not knowing how that evolves.
Yeah. I'm Alan Loomis, Principal Urban Designer for the Planning Department, and have worked with the development team on this project. To answer your question, Commissioner Deaver, you will not see this again. The role of the Arts Commission is purely advisory to the City Council. The City Council has the final approval authority over the arts piece. So you could certainly ask to see it again, but the development team is not in any way obligated to come back to you. And they would be doing so because, for whatever reason, they would choose to do so.
Because you like us.
So that being said, what we are looking for from the Commission ultimately is the Commission as a whole needs to make a recommendation to the City Council how they should act on the arts program. So you could choose simply, as you did with the last project for High Place in the fall, simply vote, we recommend approval of this art concept to the Council. I suppose you could recommend denial to the Council. In that case, it would be useful to give some explanation as to why you're making that decision. And if the Commission as a whole had some comments you wanted to communicate to the Council, it would be useful to have that crafted in the language of a motion that the entire Commission votes on. So we won't be communicating individual comments from one commissioner, individual commissioners to the Council, just the opinion of the Commission as a whole. So just to cover a little procedural stuff.
I appreciate that. I certainly would encourage and hope that this would come before the Commission again, just so we can see how it evolves because there are unanswered questions. My other concern is not so much, again, it's not so much about the artwork because I appreciate that, but it has more to do, I think, with what I'm seeing in terms of the design of the public space and how interactive ultimately that will be. So for instance, we're talking about a cafe that is there that I think might open up into that patio. In theory, the cafe owner could ask for a variance to be able to have outdoor seating. It could become almost a private space just based on what I'm hearing conceptually. So I'm just wish I had a better understanding of how the whole life of the design will interact ultimately with this arts component so that it doesn't become what it feels truly rather private to me in looking at the renderings, and I understand that renderings are renderings.
Really
however,
difficult. Yeah. It's not our intention ever to make it or allow it to become private space. Mm-hmm. It is, however, and the public space is truly open. In fact, in working with planning and design, we've even talked about communicating more loudly to the world that this is public space by extending a floor pattern out into and including the sidewalk, so that the world as it's passing gets the notion that they actually are invited into this space. It's open. And the nature of the furnishings that we intend to provide will make it clear. It's public. Anybody is welcome. The fact that there is a restaurant adjacent, we feel, is an amenity that, in fact, encourages the public to use that space rather than discourages it. Our hope is, realize, currently at the corner of Central and California, you don't have pedestrian traffic. There's no reason to go up and down that street. We happen to be 2 blocks away from Porto's, which is great. Now, if we can begin to attract some of those people over and give them a reason to come to Central and California, and we're trying to do that with a live-work community that's going to be there and their customers and their patrons, and give them a place that they can spend some time enjoy the environment, interact with the sculpture, recognize it's a little bit different. When we talk about sound, we're not really talking about brass bands and stampedes. We're talking about ambient sound. We're talking about something that creates a nice, comforting environment for that space. This is not, as much as I love rock and roll and the blues, this is not going to be a blues band or a blues joint. It is going to be a space where sound can interact with the light and create an experience for people. It can be a soothing place, it can be a sitting place, it can be an engaging place. One of the things Glendale is famous for is its citizens like to congregate in their open areas, in their parks. They spend a lot of time there. I suspect we'll get a lot of them in our public space as well, we're trying to create an environment that they'll enjoy.
I'm sorry. And because this is the Arts Commission, I can't let it pass without my mentioning in terms of the live work, which I think is great that you're marketing towards local businesses and their families. And I'm sorry if this is slightly off topic, but I'm wondering if, in terms of the live work, you had considered creative businesses and or artists in those spaces. I don't know. I'm assuming that in your pro forma, you're looking at the income from those business spaces to inform your overall development, and maybe it could potentially be affordable for new creative businesses and or artists, because I think it would enhance the public component of this and the artwork, where you're going to really be able to engage that sort of creative piece that you're looking at.
The short answer to that is absolutely. The units are not, we're not retaining title to them. Those live work units are going to be sold. Churches are going to buy them. Nothing would make me happier than to have artists or arts gallery owner decide to purchase a unit. They have a wonderful gallery downstairs. They live upstairs. It's a great space. Anybody that wants to acquire that space is free to do so. But, it may be a cobbler next to you, and that's also okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the nature of living in a city environment, and that's the nature of an urban life. And that's what we want. We want to have an enriched lifestyle where we have seniors engaging, we have working class people, we have children around, and the project is encouraging all of that.
And one more quick question: what is the percentage that we're, or what is the total development cost that we're basing the percentage on, or what is the budget, I guess, for?
We don't have a final budget yet from the building department for the valuation purposes. We're still in the middle of finalizing our plan, so we don't have a complete construction budget yet. So I can't give you a number.
You also have an estimate, though.
It's big. This is about 80,000 square foot of living space over 2 levels of subterranean garage. It's a lot. I just don't know what the number is. I'd be guessing.
Okay.
Which is why what I designed is something, not knowing who the tenant's going to be, what the cafeteria's character will be, who the people who will be occupying. I did design a piece that started off at the back wall at 11 feet above your head, so that it doesn't interfere with anyone trying to reach it, unless we've got budding Magic Johnsons. And then it waves out to where it comes to the street, it's only 2 feet from the ceiling. So it has risen from 11 feet to the 20-foot height. And the reason for that is for sunlight penetration, so that the sunlight it's always going to be in shade. It's underneath that ceiling. So the piece will be seen daytime and nighttime. Because one of the things that I find mildly depressing are light pieces that can only be seen at nighttime because the sun beats it to death in the daytime. This piece will be seen daytime and nighttime. And that's what I designed it with: 1 element at the wall, 2 beside it, 3 in front of that, etc. That's where we came to the 66 units. So the question that you had about the budget, that was my question. And of course, we don't know. But I did design something that can be done within the framework of the scale of this project. We can do this. And one of the problems that I always have, well, what does it look like when the artwork is done? Well, I've got to make it. I mean, that's been the basic problem with Michael Hayden's sculptures, is that until I make them, we all don't. I can tell you that's what it's physically going to be set out like, but the programming that goes through it is going to be a function of who will be witness to that space on a daily basis.
Michael, can you share with the council, with the commission, the cost of the Radio Shack project?
That was $500,000. It was $483,000 plus $150,000 install.
And the U.S. Tower?
Oh, there were two pieces there, but the two of them came to about $600,000.
These pieces, the light sticks and the programming and the installation and all that goes into this is not cheap.
United was at $1.2 million.
In 84?
In 84. It would be, I would not want to have to present that concept to United Airlines today. But when we did it in 84, it was 28 months of coming. And the funny thing is that they had the same question, well, you're going to lay out all these things here. That's what it physically looks like. Well, what will it do? Well, I have to spend hundreds of hours with my programming engineers, the software engineers, to find out for ourselves what it would do. And if you've seen the piece, it does a lot.
I'm going to defer to my colleagues. Oh, Commissioner Lee, again,
my
very short on time. Just
sort of quick concern. I'm just imagining myself sitting, and then, if I'm trying to relax, I don't see the. I got to be popping up to try to see it. My concern was that the height is.
Imagine, if you will, that you're sitting in the lounge chairs in the back. You're reading your paper, you're having a cup of coffee, you're waiting for a friend, and you see a little light dance off in the distance, and then it suddenly moves over here, and then a wave comes across. This is not intended to be so insistent that it demands your immediate attention and that you stare at it all the time. This is to be ambient, but active, interesting. If you want to watch. You'll never get bored. It's going to be ever-changing. If you want to not be bothered with it, ignore it. It's up there between 11 and 20 feet from you.
I have done 14 pieces in libraries. If you think your questions of being distracted is, think of a librarian. I mean, the horror they thought of flashing and blinking lights in a library. And every one of them has gone in, and they're real happy with them. Because, in fact, one library, Eastwood in Michigan, when we went to photograph the piece, the librarians came out, all female, and embraced me. And my wife's going, "You know these people?" And I said, "Well, I've just met them." But they were, "Thank you, Mr. Hayden." I mean, I want my pieces to be integrated into the very environment in which they're intended. So the piece at Chicago is for an airport, an active, distracted, 15 million people a year go through there. It's certainly not a library, so my piece's characters change proportionately.
I think mine was geared more to being, I want it lower.
You want it lower.
But
correct.
then if it's not surveilled, if there's not any protection for the piece, then you don't want it lower because it could encourage people to try to touch it and to stand on chairs.
The 11-foot height was specifically selected to address that concern. What do you do at 10:30 at night with 5 skateboarders that come running by and say, "Oh, cool, we're going to kind of get one"? So those are the kinds of issues that we worry about. We need to be able to protect the art, so it is here to enrich the environment.
So the tubes are polycarbonate, which is impact resistant. But Mark and I have been talking about making the walls mirrorized so the piece continues on through. So when you're sitting anywhere in the space, even if you're not looking at the piece itself, you can see the piece reflected in the glazing, because any, as you know, glass surface that has darkness behind it reflects the light. And if we have a mirrorized wall, then it'll reflect it. So you're going to see this piece wherever you're sitting or wherever you're walking.
Yeah, because I'm imagining through the rendering that, for example, on the right where the windows are, you can see, is that the light fixture or something above it? If you're looking from the street, you're looking at it, I'm going to see this really nice light display coming through, for example, a wave coming through, and then it's going to have block spots all the way through, and that's what I'm seeing there.
What you're seeing in those eyebrows is this treatment.
Correct. And that's why I said if we're looking from the outside, you're trying to see the wave, and then you got this block here, and then another block is sort of.
Well, we hope you're not watching our wave instead of driving.
Well, no, if we're walking by.
The piece that I did for the Kalamazoo Central Library, their concern was that the rainbows coming in would distract people trying to look at their monitors. And the nice thing about that is move your monitor Or wait 3 minutes, the Earth's rotating, the rainbow will move. The audience that you're concerned about, if they can't see it, just step over 1.5 feet and you'll see the piece. I mean, if you're standing with a blocked view, you can correct that.
Well, no, I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying that right now you have 4 stationary columns, right?
Are you talking about these?
Yeah.
These are translucent, completely translucent.
You can see.
You see through.
Light see is
It's just glass.
Correct, but what's
are you talking
above
about
it?
these?
Yeah.
The eyebrows above.
The eyebrows are also glass, but that's not finalized yet.
Oh, okay.
Michael
Yeah, 'cause
and
that's my concern,
Yeah,
because
those were
you're going to have this
canopies.
awesome artwork, and I can imagine seeing these all light displays coming
Yeah.
through, and next thing you got a little line here cut off.
This
why
this was just a way of delineating the corner from the rest of the glass space surrounding
Okay.
it.
I guess the short answer, Commissioner Lee, is come on into the space and enjoy it.
Stephen, it's like waves splashing over the rocks. It's not a distraction.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why
I move in the
'cause I was
interest
just
of
looking at the height balance.
That's why it's
and
2 feet
looking at the
below the
picture.
ceiling height.
Yes.
in the interest of the fact that we have some other business on here. I move the commission recommend this project to the city council.
Seconded.
Okay.
And hope that it visits us.
I'm glad everyone else got
Oh,
a
you didn't
chance
get
to talk.
He'll talk after second emotion.
Right. I thought I was the chair. I kind of share my colleagues' views. Commissioner Devers, she's out of all of us, she's a specialist in these kinds of things. My concern is that that the public is going to feel somewhat distant from the building. However, I think I'm willing to trust. And willing to trust the artwork. I mean, I love this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm a musician that likes 21st century music, so I do think this is gonna have some success.
Thank you.
It's gonna fit in well. So, with that said, yes.
I just, because I'm not sure about it, but can we add to that a request to the motion that indeed the final product be something that is clearly visible to the pedestrian and other traffic? I mean, just to alleviate some of the concerns that I'm hearing, and because you still have to figure out the architectural side of it and the artistic, and I trust that will happen, but I would feel more comfortable if we're going to make a motion about recommendation moving forward that those things are.
Mr. Grant, could you clarify that for us, please?
Yes, Chair Kavanian and Commissioners, you could modify the motion to say that you're approving it, and with the recommendation that it has this other element to it.
There's the answer.
I'd be happy to modify the motion.
Okay.
To that effect.
Quick addition to that. It's planned to be enclosed, right? And then with openable, or it's totally open space?
It's currently open space, glass columns, translucent so you can see light coming through them, passageways, allowing you to pass in and out of them, creating a sheltered environment so that if it's raining outside, you can still be in a nice space. If it's cloudy outside, you can still be in a nice space. And if it's sunny outside, you don't have to have sunburn.
Is it going to be air conditioned? I'm just kidding.
Grapes with the air blowing up, decided against them. That's art in itself.
Visibility and vibrancy.
Okay, so is there a revised motion?
Do you have recommended wording, or I would amend that we recommend approval of the project and hope that going forward the open space will the dedication to real adhere to. I think they'll get the idea, but
okay.
I'm happy to have you alter that if you.
Yes, that's fine. I'm just trying to get more towards that the vibrancy and the visibility are in no way deterred by the final design of the architecture.
So would you? How about we do this? Would you like to retract your motion and then
I have
just have Commissioner Deaver say hers?
If there's an understanding that it's covered, that's fine.
Okay, but,
Vibrancy of design and public and openness to the public.
Okay.
We're sending it forward with all hopes for those things.
are we okay, Mr. Grant?
Why don't we say one more time that you're recommending the
Okay.
project with the added modification of added vibrancy and visible to the public from the exterior.
You want?
Go right ahead. Or Commissioner Deaver.
Not nearly as succinct, so
I move we recommend approval of the project with our hope that the artistic vibrancy we see is maintained and that the
Openness.
the openness to the public remains in the final project.
Okay.
All right, I second that.
That's my last try.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioners Deaver?
yes.
Derovanesian?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Wagner?
Yes.
Chairperson Kevanian.
Yes.
At 5A2, discussion and approval of the 6th annual Open Studio Tour project and exhibition dates.
Okay.
For that, we're going to go to Ms. Marashan.
Okay. Commissioner Lee requested this item to be on the agenda at the last meeting. As this commission knows, Open Studio Tour is a signature event in our city, and it's a valuable tradition where artists and art organizations and art lovers come together to celebrate art in Glendale. Open Studio Tour is a free event, free for artists and free for participants, for everyone, and it is sponsored by the Cultural Affairs Department, section of the Community Services and Parks Department, and Arts and Culture Commission, also by the Brand Libraries and Brand Art Galleries. The 2008 Open Studio Tour event was a very successful event, as you remember. We were able to bring new components to the existing format, which was the website, and we were able to create a TV production of the tour, and it was marketed and promoted during the cruise night. Commissioner Wagner and Commissioner Derovanesian, they were both at that booth helping to promote the Open Studio Tour. If you remember, we also did artist open house reception, informational reception. So we tried many other things, and in the result, we had a very successful event. Record number of participants, about 148 artists from 45 different locations exhibited their works. So we would love to repeat the same results this year. Since the exhibition is very important part of the project. Staff already contacted Alyssa Resnick of the Brand Library Art Galleries to secure the exhibition dates. We will have the Brand Library Art Galleries from July 10th until August 13th for our exhibition. Staff would love to start the preparations and the planning as soon as possible. As you know, it requires an intense planning. It's a huge project. It's a citywide event, and we have less resources than last time. So we would like the Commission to approve the project and the exhibition dates. So we will start planning of it as soon as possible. If you have any questions, I know the Commission is very much familiar with the project. We have a new commissioner who might have some questions. Please.
I've taken everybody's enough time. No, I'm fine.
Really? Okay, Commissioner Lee.
Are you planning to start on July 10th? the exhibition, or is that when you're going to do the setup and then do it the week after?
What I was told by Elisa Resnick, the gallery will be available from July 10th to August 13th for the exhibition. As of now, we haven't pinpointed the date of the Open Studio Tour, but we can come back to make a decision on that. I am suggesting that it's right after the July 4th weekend, so July 11th, which is a Saturday, will be the first week for
Sunday.
us to...
July
yeah,
11th
first-
is Sunday.
Sunday.
Sunday. Or Saturday. I'm not sure. I don't... you have any
My favorite would be
suggestions?
to push it one more week.
When?
Good, Lotus Festival
Oh, there.
in Echo Park.
I'm sorry.
I'm on the committee, so I'm Saturday and Sunday, July 10th and 11th.
So you're suggesting that maybe we should...
July 16th or 17th?
Yeah.
Or 17th or 18th, I mean.
But like I said, if not, you guys can do it.
Well, we can come back and decide. Why don't you think about that? And I will check with also with the city other departments to make sure that they doesn't interfere with any other major events in the city. So,
Central.
Question. So this year we are not moving to different places, and we are going to have the exhibit in one place.
we are still going to have our
Same-
exhibition
yeah, same
at the
format.
Brand Library Art Galleries. It was scheduled for us. That was very comforting to know that the space is available. Last year, if you remember, we didn't have the Brand Library. That's why we couldn't do the Open Studio Tour.
Remember, the artists who exhibit in all their studios have a piece on exhibit at the Brand Library. That's
Right.
the big draw for one of the big draws for them. So it's we
Right.
start there and
fan out.
have an opening usually. So we might have the opening the one week and then the next week.
Right.
do-
We can have the Open Studio Tour opening, let's say, on Friday, July
9th.
10th or
Oh, 10th is a Saturday. That's ingrained in me.
If we don't need to,
In either
Friday
case,
night,
we don't need to
let's
decide
say.
that right now. In either case,
Okay.
so I'd rather just for the sake of time, just move things forward as fast as we can, so we can get through all the items in our.
So I make a motion to tell staff to go forward with it.
My second. I love that.
That should be the exact wording, please. Tell staff to go forward with it.
I recommend.
Okay. Can we have
seconded.
Okay, Arlette seconded. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioners Deaver? Yes. Darrow Vanessian?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Wagner?
yes.
Chairperson Kevanya?
Yes.
5B reports at 5B1 Development of Cultural Affairs website www.glendaleartsandculture.org.
As I already mentioned during our Open Studio Tour back in 2008, staff recommended to create a new website which will highlight all our art projects that are sponsored by the Cultural Affairs Department and the Arts and Culture Commission. GlendaleArtsandCulture.org domain was purchased back then, and we created very fun, very informative, artsy web pages for the Open Studio Tour project. The website was very, very beneficial, not only for us to, it helped us to promote the event. Every artist who was part of that project had an online gallery and got connected to the community and stayed connected until now. We still have an active website for our 2008 Open Studio Tour project. Unfortunately, since then, we have done so many other projects like the Chuck Art event, Men's in Humanity to Men, the Diamond Award for Achievement in the Arts, and these projects are supposed to be on the website. But for so many other reasons, we were not able to do that. And we believe, staff believes that the projects will be very well highlighted in the website, and it will help us, our collective efforts will be highlighted better in the website. If we have all this information for the community, and why not, maybe we will be able also to create a resource directory and connect other departments who have similar art-related projects and connect this information under one umbrella and help community to get benefited from that. So Commissioner Deaver had expressed great interest to assist us, and we've been communicating back and forth, and we planned to meet and talk in more details about moving forward and developing our website. Hopefully, between all these other projects that are taking place right now, we will be able to make that appointment and meet with the Community Services and Parks Department's administrator and IT person who will help us put us in the right direction. We will come back to the Commission and update you about the progress of the website. But we feel very strongly it's very, very important that we start developing something that we started already back in 2008.
Personally, I would like to thank Commissioner Deaver, because knowing your time constraint, recently being involved with different activities, the fact that she's helping you out with this project is major. Thank you very much. It's really appreciated, because as you see, with staff, we recently are very limited with the time. So thank you.
Yeah. Any other comments? Questions, actually, not comments. No commenting.
Great idea.
It's
Great work, and then we can join up with Glendale Arts. Because they have already got a lot of it laid out.
We can link.
Now, if we can see if we can mirror it, some of the programming.
I just want to make one statement, since we're actually doing more commenting than questioning at the moment. That I just want to say that the city has made a significant investment in arts and initiatives across the board, and I think that the opportunity for the website is to inform the general public about what the city has done, and it will serve the projects that we have going, as well as projects such as Glendale Arts and others that are happening in the community, if the city can, in a single voice, communicate what its art initiatives are and how its position on the arts.
Sure.
A question does come to mind, and that is how I wonder how this website is or should be different than the city website. I mean, is it not appropriate that we have a presence on the city website under Parks and Recreation, as long as we're there, with a link to arts, rather than a different address and a whole different system? Why are we not just part of that, as long as we are a part of the city?
The reason we came up with the idea of developing a new website was because there was a difficulty of locating information on our current city website. Even if you go to Community Services and Parks Department, there is no link to the Cultural Affairs section or their events. You have the only way you can find an information about the public art. You have to go to the planning and then redevelopment agency. And, all these things makes very difficult, especially for the community. Imagine if it's hard for us to locate this information. How is it going to be for the public? So, but under Glendale Arts and Culture, we thought and we agreed at that time that this is very easy to identify, and we should bring everything and link to the right departments if they have associated art programs in their department.
Question. So this is going to be specific to the city, or are we going to umbrella all the other web activities that deal with art?
Glendale Arts and Culture website is going to be only about the events that are sponsored by the Cultural Affairs section and Arts and Culture Commission.
Gotcha.
But we will have all the necessary information, important links to other departments to make it easy for everybody else to get connected.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks for
So we don't have to vote on anything, right? Okay.
Is it a vote?
I'm kidding.
No.
I'm kidding.
Report on.
Yes.
It was an information only.
Right.
Okay,
right.
good. Thank you.
Next item, please.
At 5E2, update on the Men's Inhumanity to Men event.
To that, we're going to diverge to.
I just want to be very brief and say that the role of the Arts and Culture Commission was tremendous last year by organizing the subcommittee, the Men's in Humanity, and forming the subcommittee for this event. So this year's chairs, Mayor Quintero and Council Member Najarian asked the Arts and Culture Commission again to help out and to form another subcommittee. Anyway, the two special meetings were held already, and our first subcommittee meeting was last night. I will let Commissioner Derhovanesian to talk about it. She was elected to be the chair of the subcommittee. So from now on, she will be updating the commission about the progress of the subcommittee.
Well, after a lot of running around and trying to get this subcommittee together, and most of all, I first of all should thank the city for allocating some funding so that we could have a staff member to help us being Ripsime Marashan, because for getting together and even having a location to have the meetings after 5:30, we absolutely had to have a staff member be part of it, because otherwise the locations cannot be open to public. So that was great. So they allocated the needed funding so that she could help us, and we got together eventually. Emails were sent. We have right now 8 members in our subcommittee. Chairperson Kevanyan and myself, and then we have Ripsime from Parks and Rec. We have Alicia, who is going to be volunteering. She's not participating as staff, but since she's so well aware of all the activities of the city, so she's a great member. And we do have 4 artists from the community who are going to work with us so far. We have already planned certain activities, and we are looking for locations, and we'll proceed. In the next meeting that I'll be in a few minutes, I'm going to run to the main committee. We'll find out what other supports we can get. So we have planned certain things which I would rather at this point not to discuss, because first we need to get the times and the dates and the places. We have already discussed that, but I need to get confirmation. Just discussing what we just talked about is not major, to see what we can achieve. With the next meeting that we'll have, I'll give a full report on exactly how this time will develop. But I'm so grateful to the people who are in the subcommittee and to the artists, because this time we do not have funding, and they all volunteered to give their time in full dedication because of this magnificent cause that we have, to make it inclusive and to partner with the other activities that is happening in the city. But basically, I would tell you that we try to have the other days, because Friday 23rd is going to be the main event of the city. 21st, our district's event is for April's 24th commemorative ceremony. So we are going to do something from Sunday to Thursday, not coinciding with any other activities that city and district has. So this is basically what we are planning.
Excellent. Any questions? Comments? That was wonderfully succinct. Nothing? Okay. Let's move on to the next item, please.
Item 6, commission and staff comments.
Now for the fun. Which side shall I start on?
I'll be quick.
Okay.
I should have a whole calendar, but I don't. But I do know that Glendale High's Unconcert is tonight and tomorrow night. Glendale High School, 7 p.m. It's their annual Pops concert. All the musical numbers choreographed by the students, and then a lot of solo items, and it's a lot of fun. So there are many school events. And I can't remember which musical is coming to what is coming to Hoover, but something's coming soon, and Josh Briggs is in it, and I should know. But anyway, that's.
We won't hold it against you. That's it. Okay. Commissioner Deaver, go right ahead.
Thank you. I just want to mention that I discovered recently a local collection, which is a artist a space where artists can sell their works in the Glendale Galleria. It opened in November. Maybe you all are aware of it, but I was not. I ran across it through some artist networks, and it is a new model that's being developed by the folks that own the Glendale Galleria, and they're hoping that it will be successful and that they can continue that into other models. It's across from Nordstrom's down there, and they actually are partnered already. I noticed on February 27th they have an event with the Glendale Art Association out of that space, so that's something to be considered, I think, in for the future. Also want to mention the Brand Library exhibit, the jazz events. I was able to attend that exhibit there, and that's a great event happening this month, which I think is terrific if people can get an opportunity to go out there for the different music and the photography that's there. Just wanted to make a note for staff. Americans for the Arts, Prosperity, and Economic Study is coming up again, and I know that we did this, I think, in 2000, maybe 2005. I can't quite figure it because it's not on our five.
I know we did because we.
So I just wanted to bring that up as maybe we can gather some information to see whether it makes sense to take a look at that again, because that information can certainly be helpful to like the Community Foundation of the Verdugos, as well as other arts organizations and ourselves here in the city. And really quick, sorry. And also attended the Winter Wonderland event, and wanted to, which I talked to Rip May about briefly too. I would love to see at some point some marketing materials for the Arts and Culture department, because of all the great stuff happening in the city and all the terrific stuff that's being marketed. There's this huge audience out there that we were not able to attract or talk to because we don't have any materials for that. Okay.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Lee, here comes the poster. Drum roll, please. Where's Amador when you need
Chinese
him?
New Year.
With the drum roll.
Gong Hei Fat Choi is the Cantonese way of saying Happy New Year in Chinese. We're having our Golden Dragon Parade, which will happen this Saturday at 1 o'clock is the start time. It will start on Hill Street in Ord, continue northbound on Hill Street, right turn on Bernard, and then right turn back onto Broadway and all the way down to Broadway and Cesar Chavez. So hopefully everybody can attend. It's a free event open to the public. For the last few years, we've been over 100,000 participants. To our knowledge, this is the second largest parade in LA County. So, to our knowledge. So please join us. And then along those same lines, on February 27th and 28th, the Firecracker 5K, 10K run, and they also think having a cycling event. So it's a weekend of athletic sports. Along with that, Circle Arts is doing their project there. So, please visit there. They're doing artwork on the floor or a different type of arts. You can go to, I think it's www.circlearts.com, I think, or .org is their website. I apologize for not remembering it in full. So please, if you have time to attend. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just want to mention, too, the local collection is on Facebook. They don't have a website now, but anybody who is on Facebook might want to connect to them that way, and you can learn some more information about how they're working with local artists in the whole LA area.
Great. Okay, I think I'm...
Okay, I have one last thing to add.
Am I the last thing to say? What's going on here?
No. I just have one news to share with all of you. I was invited to do another presentation by the LA County Arts Commission, one of their arts tune-up projects at the Pierce College. And this time, Arts Tune-Up was sponsored by a nonprofit organization called Valley Nonprofit Resources. And I met with the president. And this is a very interesting, and I'm glad that I made that connection. This is a company, nonprofit, who makes funds available for nonprofit organizations in San Fernando Valley, and Glendale qualifies. They are working here actively with children's organization. I don't remember exactly the name of the company, but I would love to for us to invite him here and to talk about the funding and how we can work together and see if it will benefit us or to our nonprofit organizations in the city. if we can connect them together.
That'll be great. Any comments? Michael, Miriam? There's nobody left in the audience, so several things. When was it? I can't remember. I think it must have been 2 or 3 weeks ago. The Women's Committee of the Glendale Symphony Orchestra Association had their had a presentation at the Brand Library in their little mini concert hall, and it was they were basically talking about their competition winners, and of course they had all kinds of age ranges. I think starting from about 14 or 15 and going up into a young lady who is getting her master's at USC. So it was very nice to see that the Women's Committee is still functioning and that the Glendale Symphony is slowly, hopefully, rising up on its feet, and will be performing very, very shortly, very, very soon in the near future. The next thing, again, I'm kind of reporting on past events in a sense. The Lark Music School had a very special guest by the name of Artur Avanesov. He's basically the only modern music lecturer that they have at the Yerevan Conservatory, and he's a phenomenal pianist, and he's worked with Pierre Boulez for about, I think he said three summers. He'd worked with him at the Lucerne Festival, which is world famous, and he goes touring all over the world. I happened to meet him, and we kind of became friendly because he had several concerts in the past couple of weeks here throughout Los Angeles. So we constantly kept in touch, and we went to coffee and so forth. Very, very, very nice and humble guy, and just goes to show how local music groups like Lark bring in great people from even overseas that you would never even think. I mean, even to think about having a modern music lecture at a place like Yerevan Conservatory is something that a lot of schools here don't have. People who specialize or have lectures on modern music, particularly. So especially with a specialist like he is. I mean, having performed with Boulez is something of it's an honor. It's something undescribable. It's like being in the midst of a legend. So I mean, and I encourage everyone to go and support organizations, any arts organizations. These are tough times, and just go and support Glendale Symphony, go and support Lark, go and support, I can't think of all the music schools and art schools in Glendale, but go and support all of them, and encourage your children to continue working on art and making it part of their lives. And not to forget, we were presented with it earlier, the Hayam Quartet is having a concert on March 7th. The event begins at 6:30 and the concert at 7 at the First Congregational Church of Glendale. The address is 2001 Cañada Boulevard in Glendale, and there's a $30 donation. So please go out and support the arts, and be merry, be happy, live wonderfully, and especially through arts. So with that, I think we're going to move to the next. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So.
I thought you sounded like you were about to adjourn, and I have a correspondence item that
it was a very good little twist on things. Exactly. I did try. Next item, please.
Item 7, written communications.
I received a letter, maybe some of you got it, an email from Michael Sheehan, who is a neighbor and an artist we know, and it just reminded me of the art and the public policy work we had done, but I understand from Ripsime that the city is working on that in conjunction with the storefront art policy. I don't know if it will come back to our committee or not, but I was glad to hear of it, and I understand that Michael has been informed.
Yes.
So,
and I also called Michael and congratulated him for his installation at the Barnesdale art gallery, and he expressed interest to do similar installation here at the Adams Square Mini Park. But I explained him that it's good for him to wait for his proposal until we have our policies approved, so he doesn't have to do the same job twice.
Right.
And I think he understood and sent a thank you email.
Oh, great. And next item, please.
Adjournment.
Can we take a roll call? I'm kidding. Let's adjourn.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
All right.